My name is Samira López, and but everybody on campus knows me as Sam. So I'm the director of the Office of First Year Campus Programs at TLU, and so that encompasses so many programs. But specifically for this interview, I oversee the TLU First Generation program. I also was a first gen. I went to school in San Antonio, but I'm originally from Austin, so I decided to leave home, go an hour away, and I went to University of Texas at San Antonio, majored in Mexican American Studies, and then I actually stayed in San Antonio after undergrad, and I went to University of the Incarnate Word
Hmm.
to get my master's. So I was also one of the first in my family to get my master's, and so
Yeah.
it's been a journey. And then after my master's program, I moved to Sabine to work at TLU.
Okay, Sam. Well, for your first question, well, it's going to be kind of a two-part question, as you know. Um, but for the first one, were you first generation? What was your first generation experience like at your colleges then?
Mhm. I was, yeah.
Hmm.
In my immediate family, my father was military, and then he did go to like a technical school after military, like in Harlingen, in Texas, in
Hmm.
South Texas. My mother did attempt her degree in accounting in Mexico,
Yeah.
but wasn't able to finish. And so when she immigrated to the United States, um, no one in my immediate family had attempted a 4-year accredited degree, right?
Well,
And
yeah.
so, and it wasn't until my older sister, which we're all in that same generational years,
Year,
she
yeah.
went to UT Austin, and she was learning how to navigate this new world. And then we're only like 11 months apart. And so then
Mm.
I left to school. And so we were both navigating as first gen students, these college campuses, like far away from each other.
Yeah.
And our parents didn't really understand it, and they could only do so much. And so, yeah, it was interesting, but and made me understand as a first gen student how to work with this population. I'm not even gonna lie to you, it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a big state school, close to 40,000 students, maybe even more. I don't even know the exact number, but it was hard. Uh, the very first time I stepped foot on the college campus was at orientation,
Oh, yeah.
and I didn't have the luxury to tour different campuses.
Mm-hmm.
I did that in my high school government class. Our professor set aside like every Thursday for us to do college research, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that luxury to tour because my parents were always working. And I remember like at orientation, my dad dropped me off at like 6 a.m. It was still dark, and there was no one there. Orientation didn't even start till like 10 a.m., right? And I didn't have a cell phone back then. I did not have a cell phone. Like I remember my dad waking up early. Like he woke up at 4 a.m. and
Mm-hmm.
he like literally got the big map out to map his way to UTSA. We followed it, and he dropped me off in front of a residence hall with my luggage, and he said, "Okay, in 3 days we're gonna meet right here." And I said, "Okay." You know, I wanted to show that strength, like I could do this, right?
Right.
With my dad. But as soon as he drove away, I was the only one there. I like just cried, like I remember crying, and I was like, suck it up, suck it up. And then it wasn't until like this couple showed up. I don't remember her name, but they were from Eagle Pass. And so I had
Mm-hmm.
family in Eagle Pass, and they were my first friends there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and then this other friend showed up. Her name's Jamie. She was from Laredo, and like she came with a driver and everything, right? It was just really hard, but I made the best out of my experience. Everyone had their family there. I couldn't do that. I had to do it on my own. You know, my first day of class, I still remember my outfit, and I still remember like what I wore. And
Mm-hmm.
walking into that auditorium, there was like 500 plus students,
Mm.
and it was just a big auditorium.
Yeah.
I just remember like, whoa, you know. And then the professor comes in with his lapel mic, and then the GAs. There's like five GAs in the front, and waiting for him to start so they can go and pass out the syllabus down these rows and aisles of the auditorium. And I'm like, whoa. It also taught me like I need to find resources, you know, I need to meet people. I need to get myself connected. And I learned that early on because I couldn't call home and ask for money. Like, no,
Yeah.
that's not a thing. I couldn't call home and tell them exactly what I was dealing with because it just wasn't like the understanding level wasn't there, you
Right.
know? And I understood that. I wasn't mad. I wasn't bitter. Like, it's just part of my life, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
What made you want to actually run the First Generation organization here at TLU?
It's part of my job responsibility, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, you know, I really do have a passion in working with these students. And when I first transitioned to TLU after grad school, I was actually working in the residence life office. So
Mm-hmm.
my background in history is really in res life. Like I worked many years um, in that area, and I was working in first year halls and seeing all these students, especially first gen students, moving to college campuses and going through so many obstacles and barriers. And when I transitioned to the Office of First Gen Campus Programs and learning that the First Gen program was going to be under me, I definitely had a passion there. And I definitely understood the experience. And I definitely wanted to make sure that um, we could provide a true, meaningful experience to help these students walk the stage,
Right.
you know, and so it's grown so much.
It
And I'm
has.
so like I'm so proud of it and everyone who's helped and all the students and all the first gen students that have come, you know, before you and all the other first gen
Mm-hmm.
students, like they really helped me form the program into what it is today. And I can't wait to
Right.
see it like in the next 5 years.
How does this organization then help the first gen students, in your opinion?
We had to do a lot of research, right? So let me start
Mm-hmm.
back to the basics. Um, I did an assessment with all of these students, informal assessment with a group of 30 first gen students that I was working with. And
Mm-hmm.
they really helped me understand what they really needed. And so one of the biggest things we did is we solidified our definition of what it was to be a first gen student at
Mm-hmm.
TLU. That definition right there was just key. And then in them helping us, we knew they wanted some sort of belonging feeling. And so we
Yeah.
knew that that belonging feeling could be really felt through identifying this population. And
Mm-hmm.
we created a logo and we created stickers and we created sayings and we really transformed that program marketing wise and making it this pride and being first gen at
Right.
TLU, you know. And so from that stemmed our, you know, we started getting attraction with us like branding ourselves, right? And people
Mm-hmm.
wanted to come more and more to events. And then we were thinking, well, how can we document all these events to really provide that meaningful, you know, path to graduation? And like, how do we bring in more students to come to events and to come to programs and gain all these resources that we're giving? So then we created an electronic path that students get their freshman year. So we really created something to really, you know, for them to view. And I'm a visual person, so I got to see it all,
Yes.
right? So I
Mm-hmm.
had to put my mind into like a first gen college student because I follow this electronic path. Essentially, it's going to lead me to an incentive, you know? And then I
Right.
was thinking of like what could be like an amazing incentive that we can include family with, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
part of this journey is not just yours. Like you need to bring a family with you through this
Yeah.
journey. So we created a scroll that they could wear at graduation to share with their families that come back and
Mm-hmm.
see them walk the stage. And so we have had so many first time students not complete the path and they want to buy this scroll, but an electronic path and a program that really helps these students earn this scroll. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
we know that once you walk that stage with the scroll, you're ready. Like we prepared you. So the program
Exactly.
has really helped students in that way. And with our pinning ceremony that we were able to provide, like that right there just started the momentum of like
Yes.
of students really starting to believe that they belong at TLU. You
Hmm.
know, people saying,
Yes.
I've had students wear this pin to their interviews for internships or presentations that they do in the community or in class, or they're getting ready to um, do interviews for like work and graduation. I had another
Hmm.
first gen student wear it during, he was doing a presentation for the Board of Regents of TLU, and one of the Board of Regents member who sits on the board um, saw the pin and said, "Where can I get one? I was first gen back in like '63." Yeah, and so that identity right there really helps students connect themselves to other first gen TLU alumni,
Yeah.
um, and know that they're not the only ones out there.
Exactly.
Um, also TLU is now part of the NASA First Gen Forward Institution, and so that recognition right there took a lot of hard work, and we as an institution applied for this. And if you don't know what NASA is, it's just a large national organization that helps our student affairs professionals in higher education. But they
Hmm.
had a specific program just for first gen campuses, right?
Yeah.
And so we as a small institution met those requirements to be recognized as a first gen forward institution. And that means that we get resources to use for students. We get to be in a regional, cohort with all these other big state institutions in our region and seeing
Yeah.
what they're doing and their best practices. We get to implement some of those ideas, and they get to implement our ideas, which, to be fair, as a little institution, we're way ahead of the
Oh,
game, and so
for
that
sure.
right there really, helps identify who we are at TLU and help students
Hmm.
understand that this program is very meaningful and this program will help them walk the stage. And so we have recognition. We hope to keep it in the years to come. It's a long process to get, and it took us a while. But if you look at the area and the region, we're the only small private
Hmm.
in this area, and so that's a big accomplishment.
Yeah. According to the TLU.edu website, more than half of the students are actually first gen on campus, as you know, and more than about like 60% of Hispanic students overall are first gen here on campus. So, with that said, why do you think there is such a high amount of first gen students actually here on TLU?
In talking to students and being in this position now for some years now, I really do believe that TLU is very accessible to this population, not only with the scholarships that we're able to provide and aid that they're able to get, but accessibility in regards to the smaller classrooms and that personal attention they can get from professors or
Hmm.
from other first gen students. So that accessibility right there makes it less intimidating
Right.
for a first gen student to go to school. Um, TLU sometimes is smaller than high school. So I think TLU is able to have that close connection with these students, and
Hmm.
more than 50% of our first gen students are Latinx, right?
Yeah.
And so alone in personally coming from a Latino family, you build these close relationships to your family, right?
Yeah.
And so they want that community belonging sense. And we can provide that for them, and they a lot of them are come from this region,
Hmm.
and we're able to provide closeness to their homes, and they can go home and they can still be with their family. And so it's just very accessible to first gen
Yeah.
students.
Why should students seek graduation despite the hardships they might face as a first generation student?
Right.
Hmm.
I definitely think it just that it opens doors that you can never imagine. for your family,
I like that.
not just for you, but for your family, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
today, I'm able to give back to my parents and to my younger siblings and help them navigate, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
all of us, there's four girls in my family. All of us have a degree right now. You know,
Wow.
two of us have a master's. Another
Yeah.
one's working on another master's.
That's
Like,
awesome.
could you imagine how proud my parents, must have felt when the last one walked the stage? My younger sister working on her master's in New York, right? And she calls me and she's like, I need help with this and navigating this. And I'm able to help her,
Right.
and I have that knowledge and resource, right? And so, but I also do believe it really starts a new tradition in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And that tradition right there is just so powerful, especially as a person of color, and especially navigating these waters right now in the United States. Like,
Mm-hmm.
despite all the hardships you're going to face, it's going to be so worth it,
Yeah.
and it's going to be such a proud feeling. And getting higher education will really challenge you to think differently about the world, about people, about the
Mm.
community, and that's good. Like, you
Yes.
want to challenge everything. That's
Mm-hmm.
really good,
Right.
and that right there really makes the hardships worth it.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you can do it, which you can do it, right? But it's not easy.
Right.
And I know, there was many nights where I didn't know where my next meal was going to come from,
Mm-hmm.
there's many nights where I would pull all-nighters just to teach myself, APA or MLA,
Yeah.
or teach myself calculus and oh,
Mm.
economics. It's not gonna be easy, but you're gonna meet people through your journey that are gonna help you, and you're gonna meet peers that are gonna be your friends for life. Like my
Yeah.
grade teachers, most of all of us were first gen, and we are still best friends. We travel the
Mm-hmm.
world together.
That's awesome.
I really think that's very important.